Kate Welch plays Rosie B. Stinger on Penny Arcade Acquisitions Incorporated, the C Team. I talked to her about the monk class, character creation, and also about the group dynamic.
You can make a character who's completely different from yourself, but you're not going to have a lot of fun playing that character. It's going to be difficult for you. And even if you do make a character that you think is totally different from yourself, just because you are yourself and you're living in your body and in your mind, that character is probably going to become a little bit more like you. So I tend to think that the most fun you can have with a character is creating someone that you wish you could be or that you want to try out, and create a character who has a quality that you wish that you had as a person, and then practice that, because what you'll find is that you do have that quality because you're playing the character and you're embodying that, and then you can be that person in real life if you want to, or not if you don't. But it's a way of kind of like trying things on and experimenting with your own identity. So that's what I always do. Monks are extremely balanced for combat. We're not a combat heavy game, as anybody who's watched us knows. We're definitely more role play heavy, which is something that we have requested. We really prefer that storytelling to like the constant mathematics of rolling dice and doing number checks. It's just not as entertaining to some of us. But Rosie in particular is just a powerhouse. She's a blender. Like she will mess anybody up. She's very, very good at fighting. So you have to find ways to bring the metaphor of being a fighter into the role-playing space, and then also take advantages when I'm leveling up of what's going to be the ability that's going to be interesting in the role-playing space versus like getting an extra attack and a stunning strike and key points that I can spend in combat, which we never spend any time doing. So the next time we're in a fight, Rosie's just going to kick total butt, but I think that's like once every 4 episodes at this point. But as far as like the monk class goes, it really, really is a fun and versatile and just like brutal class to play. I'm having so much fun. The reason I chose Way of the Shadow is not because it was the most combat optimized. Like if you're min-maxing a monk, it's I believe Way of the Open Palm is the way to go. But Way of the Shadow is more Rosie because she is an astronomer. And she's got this connection with the homeward star that always guides her back home whenever she's lost. And she also operates in a couple of different ways from a place of shadow. She calls upon the plane of shadow for grandmamancy, which is her power, which binds people by calling on this plane of shadow to bind them with their own shadows. And then she is also, something that Jerry and I have talked a little bit about, is how the shadow is also a place where people who are underappreciated live. They live around the edges of the room. They're not seen, and that's sort of the role of someone like Rosie, who has been a grandmother who may not have been appreciated in her lifetime, and she has done all these tasks and kind of represents that the power that still exists. Like you may not believe, you may underestimate Rosie's abilities, but she's going to surprise you because she's from this area of shadow. And none of those things are overtly evil. You associate shadow with like the shadow weave and the goddess Shar, and there's all this like darkness when you call upon the plane of shadow, but Rosie uses it almost like you would use the light, I think. So Rosie is just a vessel for me to confess my love to everyone that I play with. So basically, anytime there's an excuse for Rosie to be this like corny grandma who just loves everyone, that is absolutely like my favorite stuff, because this crowd, this group of people, we're not the most necessarily like emotional. We tend to be more on the humorous side and giving each other shit. But anytime I can let them know via the guise of our characters how much I care about them, those are my favorite. Those are my favorite Rosie moments, because I am a total squishy marshmallow person, apparently.